Warning, this gameplay will contain lots of crashing as I have zero experience with driving with a racing wheel. That having been said, I still tried it because this game's a lot more fun this way. So, if you feel like getting mad at me or telling me I suck at this game and my opinion's invalid, please let me know in the comments down below. Hey there guys, Raymond here, also known as Rayvision, and welcome back to another top 10 list. Today, for the first time ever, we are going to be tackling Project Cars 2. But before we get started, just a little bit of something you should know. Next week, we're going to be counting down the top 10 list for the top 10 things we want to see in future racing games. It can be whichever game you want. It can be any feature you want to see. Just let me know in the comments down below. Also, I want to add that this list was primarily composed of my opinions. I did ask for user recommendations, but not a lot of people left recommendations in the comments. So it's a combination from the feedback I got from people in my Discord chat. You should join it, link in the description. And my personal experience after having played the game for 10 or so hours. So, all this having been said, let's get into it. Now at number 10, we have something that you either love or you don't care much for, but in my case, it is most definitely something that I love and that I do appreciate, and that is the graphics in Project Cars 2. Now, the reason why some people might be indifferent, and my take on it, is that the graphics in Project Cars 2 are a lot more realistic than many of the racing games I've played. Now wait, I'm not saying the other racing games aren't realistic or good looking, but what I'm saying is, when you're playing Forza, especially when you're playing Forza Motorsport 7, the graphics are, yes, very real, but they're also very cinematic. You go, there's always a lens flare, there's always the brain. It's very much designed so that every time you go around a new corner, there's always that cinematic look, that sense of immersion. While Project Cars 2 is much more nitty-gritty, and it gives you that sense of, wow, I'm really there and this is what it's like. While Forza Motorsport 7 creates much more of a sensational experience. They're both very different, and depending on what you prefer, you might prefer one over the other. Now, this is my take on it, and it might be completely wrong, so let me know what you think about this. Now, at number 9, this might be something that you love or hate, but this is something that I kind of love, and that Project Cars 2 is purely a simulation racing experience, okay? It doesn't do any arcadey stuff. It is really about you, the race, and the car. So to that extent, you have cars, you can control your tire, you can do a lot more stuff with regards to the racing experience. You have warm-ups, you have qualifying, and then you have the race. So with regards to that, the game itself manages that extremely well, and you can tell what area it focuses on very clearly. Now at number 8, it's something that I personally think about the game. You may disagree, but I kind of don't like the campaign, and here's why I don't like it, okay? If you call something a campaign, at least in my experience, in my personal experience, I expect there to be a narrative. Need for Speed has a campaign. Forza Horizon sort of has a campaign. Forza Motorsport 7 doesn't have a campaign, but they call it the Forza Racing Series, or they call it Career, much better than a campaign. And now, in Project Cars 2, I can't remember if they call it campaign or career, but there's no sense of engagement to it, and I understand why, and adding a narrative in this kind of game would be very difficult, but it just feels like a grind. It is a grind to make you better at the game, that have been said, but it is a grind nonetheless, and I just don't feel like doing a grind for no reason. That having been said, if you're a huge fan of racing games and you want to have every experience, I'm sure that you will enjoy it. Me personally, it didn't really click for me. Now at number 7, let's talk about something I don't like about the game, not too much, and that is the lack of diversity in the cars. Now this might just be me once again and my personal opinion on it, and that's fair, it is, but I do find that it is lacking in certain areas. It has a lot of race cars, and I get it, it's a purely simulation racing game, but I don't like racing race cars. I might be the only person who says this ever, but I don't like racing cars in racing games. I prefer racing road cars, cars that I know and recognize, cars that I love in racing games. That's part of the reason why I prefer GT3 racing over F1 racing, or rally racing over, actually, rally is my favorite, but that's my thought process behind it. And if they have more cars, which hopefully they'll add more in the game, I would definitely get behind that. Now at number 6, let's talk about something else that I kind of don't like about the game, and that is if you don't have a wheel, in other words, if you have a controller, the game's kind of like, nope. And by that I mean there are existing wheel controls for the Xbox controller, and you can play the game in an Xbox controller. But if you have an Xbox controller and you want to play a racing game, just play Forza. And the reason for that is, even though they've adapted the experience to be able to be played on a controller, it was crafted to be played on a racing wheel. At least that was my impression of the game while I was playing it. And as you can tell, I'm not very good at driving with a racing wheel. That's because I haven't had it for long, but I did do my best, and I found it just fun on a racing wheel compared to a controller, which is a lot more struggling. The racing wheel is like, oh yeah, this I can see the potential for fun here, and that's what a game's about. This brings me to number 5. Something I love about the game, and that is wheel support, okay? If you ever tried to drive in Forza with a wheel, the feedback doesn't really exist, and by feedback I mean the wheel feedback doesn't ever exist. And in Project Cars 2, as I said earlier, the experience is crafted around a driving wheel, and it is a lot of fun. It is a lot of fun. You can use your flappy paddles, you can use your manual transmission, you can do whatever you want, and they have customization. You can customize how much percentage input you want with regards to how hard you press the pedal to how much that input goes through. And that is incredible. The only thing that I could nitpick on is that they give the ability to go over percentage, so that you could go like 120%. The reason why I say this is on my driving rig, which I got from Nick, thank you very much. If I press on the brake to stop and I want to get 100% out of it, I literally have to bend the metal on that's holding up the brake pedals, which is not something I want. So if I could tune it up to 120%, so like that, I can press this brake fairly strong and still get the braking I need out of it. So it's just a small quality of life thing, but overall, I really do appreciate the wheel support that the game provides. Now, at number 4, we have something that really bugged me, and it might just be me, and that's completely fair if it's just me, and you guys can feel free to disagree with me in the comments below and shit on me, but I find the assist system really not intuitive stuff. In all my time there, I couldn't figure out how to turn traction control off, so I couldn't go drifting, and this might be because I'm an idiot, which, as many of you can attest to, I am, but I'm like, it should be easier than this. There's an area where you can get your assist, but you're actually just setting shortcuts to turn on and off your assist, and then I'm like, what? It's too many stuff. Just give me a simple menu, kind of like what Forza has, where I can do, and I'm sure there is. I just haven't found it. So maybe I'm completely wrong, and maybe you guys are all gonna yell at me, but that's my impression on that. Now, at number 3, let's talk about something that this game does incredibly well, and that is track diversity. Now, the reason why I say this is incredible is because you can do a road race, you can race on a frozen lake. I don't know of any other game that lets you do both simulation racing on pavement and on a frozen lake. No other game has that. You can go rally race, well, not really rally racing, but you have dirt tracks. This is awesome. Like, there is something in this game for everyone. You're not a fan of on tarmac? Fine, go race in the snow. If you don't like racing in the snow, go race in the dirt. There is something for everyone to be found, unless you like more arcade game modes. Well, then that's not for you. But in general, there is something for every kind of racing fan out there, and that is something to be admired. Let's talk about number 2, because this is something that I think people don't give the game enough credit for, right? Forza had this huge marketing campaign. It was like, ooh, we have dynamic weather systems and everything, which is great, but you can't be very specific in what you choose from those dynamic weather settings. On the other hand, Project Cars 2 is like, yo, not only are we going to give you all these options, we're going to let you customize all of them. So you can choose the specific time of day, literally to the hour, which is incredible. You can choose if you're going to race in the snow, if it's snowing, if it's raining, if it's lightly raining, if it's foggy. You can choose whatever you want. You can be as specific as you want. And even if it's a track that's not supposed to have snow usually, example Nürburgring, and no one races it when it's snowing, you can do that anyways, so why the hell not? That is absolutely insane, the fact that they let you do that. This is something that I wish other games would do, because it is awesome. I love it. It's awesome. That's what it is. Now, at number 1, it is something that I most definitely love about this game, and that is there is no microtransaction, no micro gambling, no loot box based system progression stuff in this game. In Forza, if you want to get driver gear, you either have to sacrifice money towards a car or pay for it with your own money, which in my opinion, it's great that they added driver gear. I'm not ever gonna get any because I need the money for my cars and my videos, and I'm not gonna give them more money already because the game is already expensive enough. Need for Speed, literally it makes it impossible for you to upgrade your car because you either have to pay and wait for the refresh, or you're always gonna run on parts token, in which case you can buy more shipping crates. So Project Cars 2, you buy the game, you buy the DLC, that's what you get in your face value. The only store that I could find in the game was a link to their website in which they sell physical merch, which isn't affecting the progression of the game, the performance of the game. It is just something for people who are fans to support the game with, and that I can appreciate. Thank you, Project Cars 2, for making this work. Thank you. Well, guys, that's going to be it for today. My name has been Raymond, also known as Rayvision. But before I leave you, I just want to remind you of a few things. First off, if you disagree with this list, feel free to shit on me in the comments down below. Also, the next top 10 list will be the top 10 things we want to see in racing games in the future. So if you have any ideas or recommendations of things you fantasize about, please leave those in the comments down below. All that having been said, my name has been Raymond, and I will see you all in the next one. Goodbye, everyone.